The first sight of the alien ship made everyone stop and stare. It floated silently above Earth's atmosphere, moving slowly as if it was tired. Its hull was dark, scratched, and smoking from old damage. At first, people on Earth thought it was just space debris. Then radar picked it up, and everyone realized it was something alive. Captain Daniel Ross stood on the bridge of the human ship Horizon, looking at the alien vessel. He had seen many strange things in space, but nothing like this. The ship's shape was unusual, almost like a twisted leaf, with glowing lines along its edges. Daniel's heart beat faster. He had trained for danger, but this was different. These were not soldiers. They were refugees, Captain, said his lieutenant, a young man named Eric Lane. They are drifting. They might not make it to the atmosphere. We need to act fast. Daniel nodded. He knew the rules of space. No one could survive long in orbit without proper life support. He gave orders quickly. Prepare the docking pods. Send a team with full medical gear. We bring them in, no questions. On board the alien ship, the Arlen were struggling. Their bodies were slender and pale, with long fingers and sharp eyes that reflected fear and hope at the same time. Many were weak from hunger, and some were injured from the journey. A young alien woman, Lyrae, moved among them. She was their leader, though she was young. Her hair shimmered silver in the dim lights, and her eyes were gray like storm clouds. She had seen many of her people die during the exile, and she carried the weight of their suffering on her shoulders. We must hold together, she said softly to the small group around her. Help each other. Stay calm. Earth is near. It will help us. The Arlen whispered among themselves, their voices soft and melodic. They were afraid. The galaxy had cast them out, leaving them with nowhere to go. Their enemies called them traitors. They had refused to fight in a war that would destroy other worlds. For that, they were exiled. Now, their home was lost, and even the stars did not feel safe. Daniel's team entered the alien ship. It was dark and cold. Smoke rose from broken panels, and strange smells filled the air. The humans moved carefully, carrying medical supplies and oxygen packs when they found the first group of aliens. Many were too weak to move. Daniel saw Lyrae kneeling beside a small child, holding it close. The child had pale skin, almost translucent. In its tiny hands shook. Nora Hill, the ship's medic, stepped forward. She held her hand out. I'm here to help, she said. The child's mother hesitated, then allowed Nora to take the child. The warmth of her touch made the child shiver less. Nora smiled gently. You're safe now, she said. It was the first time any of the Arlen had heard words like that in months. Lyrae stood and nodded to Daniel. Thank you for coming, she said. Her voice was soft but carried authority. We have no weapons. We only want life. Daniel shook his head. You don't need to explain. We will help you. It took ours to move everyone. The Arlen were weak, and some could not walk without support. Humans carried them in teams, using pods to transfer them safely. On board Horizon, they made space for everyone, giving them blankets, food, and water. The Arlen looked around in awe. Humans moved with care, showing patience and calm. For the first time in many weeks, the refugees felt something they had not felt in a long time: hope. Lyrae watched everything silently. She wanted to trust humans, but years of being hunted and betrayed had made her cautious. Yet, she could not deny what she saw. These humans were different. They did not strike first. They did not ask for payment. They only offered safety. When all the Arlen were on board, Daniel called the bridge. Set course for the moon, he said. We have to get them to a safe place, away from Earth's crowded cities. The journey was tense. Humans and Arlen were together in close quarters, and communication was difficult. The Arlen spoke their own language, musical and flowing, while the humans tried to learn it. Lyrae worked with the translators, helping to explain their needs, food and water first. She said, then beds and warmth. They have suffered too long in cold ships. Nora checked the children first. They were weak, but they smiled when given small toys or blankets. Many had forgotten how to laugh. Slowly, the sound of children's giggles filled the medical bay. Lyrae felt something stir in her chest, a small light of hope she had not felt in a long time. Daniel walked through the corridors, watching his crew interact with the aliens. Some humans were scared, whispering to each other about the strange creatures. Some Arlen were suspicious, standing apart and watching with cautious eyes. Daniel understood both sides. Trust would take time, but for now, survival was enough. At the moon's surface, the landing team had prepared a reception area. Tents were set up with oxygen support, food, and medical stations. When the pods arrived, the Arlen were helped down carefully. Lyrae looked at the Earth rising above the horizon, shining bright and blue. It was beautiful and strange to her. Her people had traveled the stars, but she had never seen anything like it, Earth. She whispered, "It is alive." Daniel approached her. "You will be safe here," he said. "No one will hurt you." She looked at him, unsure if words could carry the truth. "You mean it?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes. We do not turn people away, no matter what the galaxy says." That night, the humans and Arlen shared meals. They could not talk much, but small gestures carried meaning. A human offered bread to a small alien child, who took it carefully. An Arlen woman helped a human soldier understand how to use a water filter. It was slow, but bridges were forming. In one tent, Lyrae sat beside a small fire, watching the stars. The moon was quiet, cold, and still, but it was also safe. She felt relief, but also the weight of what was to come. The galaxy would not forget what had happened. Some worlds might try to take her people by force, but for now, she allowed herself to rest. She allowed herself to hope. Daniel stood nearby, looking at the aliens settling in. He thought about how fragile peace was. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, and it could all end. But he also thought about something stronger. Humans were stubborn. They were not the strongest in the galaxy, but they were brave. They could protect those who could not protect themselves. That was their power. Nora came to the tent where Lyrae was sitting. "You need to eat," she said. "You cannot lead your people if you are weak." Lyrae shook her head. "I will eat later. They need me more than I need rest." Nora placed a small tray of food in front of her. "You cannot help them if you collapse. Trust me. Eat." Reluctantly, Lyrae ate. The food was simple, but warm. It was not much, but it was enough to remind her that life was still possible. Around her, she could hear the soft hum of humans talking to her people, helping them, guiding them. She realized something important. Perhaps humans were not perfect, but they were kind. That night, the Arlen slept in rows of tents. They were safe for the first time in months. Lyrae stayed awake for a while, watching the stars. She thought about the galaxy that had rejected them, the worlds that had closed their doors, and then she thought about Earth, a small blue planet that had opened its arms. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that survival was more than just existing. It was living. It was being able to plan, to dream, to heal. And perhaps, just perhaps, Earth could be their home. Daniel looked out over the camp, satisfied. There were challenges ahead. He knew other worlds would not be happy with Earth's decision. He knew the galaxy might send threats. But right now, he felt something stronger. He felt pride. Humans had done something rare. They had helped those in need without asking for reward. That, he realized, was what made them different. That was what made them strong. The first night passed quietly. Stars shone over the moon, and the Earth glowed blue in the distance. For humans and Arlen alike, it was a moment of calm, a moment of hope. Tomorrow would bring more work, more challenges, but tonight they were safe. Lyrae finally lay down beside the small fire in her tent. She closed her eyes and allowed herself to sleep. Dreams came slowly, of green fields she had never seen, of children laughing freely, and of a world that had chosen compassion over fear. And in that quiet, under the glow of distant stars, the story of a small planet taking an outcast began. The moon base was quiet in the morning, but there was a constant hum of activity. Humans moved back and forth, carrying supplies, checking equipment, and speaking quietly with the Arlen. The aliens were beginning to explore the camp, their long fingers tracing the smooth walls and strange machines. Some were still afraid, keeping to themselves, while others tried to learn about humans by watching them. Daniel Ross walked along the main corridor, checking on the operations. He carried a tablet with the schedule, making sure that everything ran smoothly. The Arlen needed food, water, medical care, and shelter. They also needed hope. Daniel knew this was harder to give than anything else, but it was more important. "Captain," said Eric Lane, walking up beside him. "The children are playing outside. They look happy." Daniel smiled faintly. "That's good," he said. "Even small happiness matters. They have been through too much outside." A group of human volunteers were helping Arlen children play. They had small toys, soft balls, and blocks. The aliens were learning to throw, catch, and even laugh. Some humans tried to speak in the Arlen language, stumbling over the soft syllables, while the children giggled at the attempts. For a moment, everything felt simple. Lyrae stood near the tent entrance, watching. She had been busy coordinating with translators and trying to teach her people basic human words. Some of the older Arlen were resistant, suspicious of humans, and fearful of their motives. But seeing the children laugh, seeing humans and Arlen together, she felt a small sense of relief. Perhaps Earth could be more than a safe place, it could be a home. Nora Hill was busy in the medical tent. She moved quickly from patient to patient, checking injuries and giving vitamins and medicines. Many Arlen had been sick during their journey, and some had wounds that would take time to heal. Nora worked tirelessly, speaking softly, explaining each step. "This is going to hurt a little," she said to one young alien, "but it will help you feel stronger." The Arlen child looked at her with wide eyes but nodded. Humans had a way of making the impossible seem simple. It was a kindness that Lyrae had not seen often in her life. Not everyone on Earth was pleased with the refugees. News outlets and social media buzzed with opinions. Some people were worried about the aliens bringing unknown diseases. Others feared they might have hidden weapons or dangerous technology. Posters appeared in cities with slogans like "Keep Earth Safe" and "Why Help the Outsiders?" Daniel read one of the reports with a frown. He knew humans could be afraid of what they did not understand. But he also knew that fear should not decide the fate of innocent lives. "Ignore them for now," he said. "We focus on what is real. These people need us, and we will not turn away." Lyrae heard about these fears from some of her people. They whispered, worrying that humans might change their minds. "What if they decide we are a danger?" asked one young Arlen woman, her voice trembling. Lyrae placed a hand on her shoulder. "Humans are different. They may speak fearfully, but their actions are strong. Look at what they have done. They saved us. They gave us shelter. That is stronger than any words of doubt." Weeks passed. Humans and Arlen worked together to improve the camp. They built better shelters, improved water systems, and taught each other new skills. Daniel and Lyrae worked closely, coordinating efforts and keeping the peace. Slowly, trust grew. Humans began to understand Arlen needs, and Arlen began to understand human ways. One evening, Lyrae and Daniel walked along a corridor together. Outside, the moon's surface glowed faintly in the sunlight reflecting from Earth. "You do not know how much this means," Lyrae said. "We were not allowed to exist. We were hunted, cast out, abandoned, and you chose to help." Daniel shrugged. "It is the right thing to do," he said. "We do not have to agree with the galaxy to do what is right. We just have to do it." Lyrae smiled faintly. "Your people, they are strong, not because of your ships or weapons, but because of your hearts." Meanwhile, in the outskirts of the moon base, some Arlen were restless. Not all of them trusted humans completely. A few younger warriors whispered among themselves, angry at their exile, frustrated with their weakness, and longing for revenge against the galaxy that had cast them out. Lyrae watched these groups carefully, knowing they could cause trouble if left unchecked. One day, a small incident occurred that reminded everyone how fragile peace was. An Arlen boy wandered too close to a storage area with delicate equipment. He touched something and caused a minor explosion. No one was hurt, but alarms blared, and humans rushed to contain the situation. Daniel arrived. Seeing the damage, Lyrae followed quickly. "It is okay," Daniel said calmly. No one is hurt. Just mistakes. That is all." The boy looked frightened. Lyrae knelt beside him. "It is all right. We learn from mistakes. Do not be afraid." The human crew cleaned up, and work resumed. But the incident reminded both sides that cooperation required patience, guidance, and understanding. One evening, Daniel called a meeting with his team and Lyrae. "We cannot stay passive," he said. "The galaxy watches us. They do not like what we are doing. Some may try to intervene. We need to prepare, even if only in small ways." Lyrae nodded. "I have seen their messages. Other worlds do not want us to survive. They will demand we leave." Daniel frowned. "Then we show them we are not afraid. We protect the innocent. That is what makes us human. And now, it will make us allies." Nora and other medical staff worked to teach Arlen basic human medical care. They set up small clinics and taught alien children hygiene, first aid, and health routines. Arlen learned quickly, and soon, humans and Arlen were helping each other heal. Even simple gestures like showing how to use a bandage became moments of friendship. One day, a team of Arlen approached Daniel with a small, unusual device. "This is our technology," Lyrae said. "It is safe, but it can help humans. We give it freely, as thanks for your kindness." Daniel examined the device carefully. It seemed to be a small reactor, capable of generating energy efficiently. "This could help power Earth stations," he said. "If used carefully, it can change a lot for us." Lyrae nodded. "It is not a weapon. It is knowledge. Use it wisely." Daniel realized the value of trust. These aliens had been betrayed by the galaxy, yet they were willing to share their knowledge with humans. That was remarkable. And that was a sign that cooperation between species could be more powerful than conflict. Despite progress, not everything was peaceful. Some humans still feared the Arlen, and some Arlen still remember the cruelty they had suffered. Small arguments broke out over food distribution or sleeping arrangements. Daniel and Lyrae had to mediate patiently, explaining that fear and anger were natural but could not govern their actions. One night, Lyrae walked alone on the moon's surface. She looked at Earth, shining bright and alive. She thought of her people, sleeping in tents, slowly recovering from months of fear, hunger, and despair. She thought of Daniel, brave and kind, who believed in helping without hesitation. She whispered to herself, "Perhaps this world is different. Perhaps it is worth trusting." Meanwhile, Daniel stood on the observation deck, watching her from a distance. He thought about how humans had been tested many times in history. They had faced wars, disasters, and threats from other species. Yet they survived. They endured. And now, they had the chance to do something truly extraordinary to protect the innocent. Even when the galaxy told them not to dot in the following weeks, Earth sent messages to the Galactic Union. "We have taken in exiles," the humans said. "They are under our protection. Any attempt to harm them will be seen as aggression against Earth." The response was cold and dismissive. Other worlds warned humans to return the Arlen or face consequences. But Daniel, Lyrae, and their teams continued their work. They trained, healed, and built. Fear and threat could not stop them. Children played together. Adults worked together. Humans and Arlen learned from each other, teaching and helping. For the first time, the Arlen began to believe that life could be more than survival, it could be living. Lyrae visited Nora one morning. "Your people are patient," she said. "They do not judge. They only help. That is unusual in the galaxy." Nora smiled. "Maybe, but it works. We are stronger together than divided." That is the lesson we hope to teach. As the days passed, small routines formed. Humans and Arlen shared meals, games, and lessons. Trust grew, slowly, step by step. And although they knew challenges lay ahead, other worlds would not forgive this act of defiance. The moon base had become a place of peace. However fragile, for the first time since exile, the Arlen felt they could breathe. For the first time, Lyrae allowed herself to hope. Earth had taken them in when the galaxy had cast them out. And that simple act of kindness was beginning to change everything. Life on the moon base had settled into a routine, but Daniel Ross knew it would not last long. He could feel tension in the air, subtle but present. Humans and Arlen were learning to live together. But the galaxy did not watch quietly. Other worlds were angry. They did not forgive the Arlen, and they did not forgive Earth for giving them shelter. Daniel called a meeting with Lyrae and his senior team. "We are not alone," he said. "The Galactic Union is watching us. They are unhappy that we protected the Arlen. It is only a matter of time before they send someone to intervene." Lyrae's gray eyes darkened. "They have spies in the system," she said. "I have seen their patrols in hidden orbits. They watch our base, our ships, even your communications. They want us to be afraid." Daniel shook his head. "Fear will not help us. We protect the innocent, no matter the threat. That is what humans do. That is what makes us different." While Daniel and Lyrae spoke, Nora Hill moved among the Arlen, teaching basic first aid and human medical practices. The aliens learned quickly, and their hands were surprisingly nimble. They practiced bandaging, cleaning wounds, and using medical tools. Some of the younger Arlen asked questions about human biology, fascinated by the differences between species. "I never knew humans could survive so many injuries," said one curious young Arlen man. "Your species is strong." Nora smiled. "We are strong because we care. Healing is as important as fighting. You will understand that too, if you watch and learn." The peaceful days were not without incidents. Some Arlen, especially the younger warriors, were restless. They had been trained to fight, to strike back at those who had wronged them. Lyrae tried to guide them, explaining that patience and trust were necessary. But their frustration often led to arguments. One afternoon, a group of young Arlen stole a supply pod, intending to use the equipment to attack an imaginary enemy in orbit. Daniel discovered the plot when sensors picked up the missing pod. He confronted the group with Lyrae by his side. "This is not how we act," Lyrae said firmly. "We are here to survive, to live, not to provoke war. We trust humans to protect us. You must trust them too." Daniel added, "I know you are angry, and I understand it, but your anger cannot hurt innocent people. If you act rashly, you put your own people at risk." The young Arlen leader lowered his head. "We only want justice," he said softly. Lyrae placed a hand on his shoulder. "Justice will come when we are strong and safe. Now, we must survive. That is our first duty, even as they work to maintain order." News arrived from Earth. The Galactic Union had sent a message, cold and threatening. They demanded the Arlen be returned immediately or face consequences. Daniel read the message aloud. "We will not return them. They are under our protection. Anyone who tries to take them will face resistance." Lyrae's jaw tightened. "They will attack. I can feel it. Their fleets are near the outer edge of the system. They test our patience. They wait for a mistake." Daniel nodded. "Then we prepare. We strengthen our defenses and train our people, humans and Arlen together. That is our advantage." Plans began immediately. Daniel ordered drills for both humans and Arlen. They practiced coordination, communication, and defensive strategies. Arlen pilots trained alongside human pilots, learning Earth ships while humans learned to understand Arlen maneuvers. The combination of human ingenuity and Arlen speed created something new and powerful. Nora trained Arlen medics with human techniques. The Arlen were quick learners, and soon they could handle most injuries with confidence. Lyrae encouraged this, seeing that healing was as vital as fighting. "Knowledge is our strength," she told them. "Use it wisely." As the weeks passed, some Arlen began to trust humans completely. They shared stories of their homeworlds, their families, and their past battles. Humans listened, asking questions, learning about lives beyond Earth. Friendships grew, and bonds formed that were stronger than fear. One evening, Daniel and Lyrae walked outside the base. The moon was quiet, and the Earth hung bright and blue in the sky. "We are stronger together," Daniel said. "Humans and Arlen. If the Union attacks, we will show them what that means." Lyrae nodded. "I believe that. Your people are brave, Daniel. Not because you have weapons, but because you protect the weak. That is what makes humans different. That is what makes you strong." The peace was shattered when scouts reported the arrival of a Galactic Union reconnaissance fleet at the edge of the system. They had not attacked yet, but were monitoring every movement. Their ships were larger and more advanced, built for war. We cannot let them see weakness. Daniel said, "We need to make them think twice. We train, we prepare, and we stay ready." Lyra gathered her people. "The galaxy does not forgive those who are cast out," she said. "We are outcasts, but now we have a chance to survive. We will fight if we must, but only to protect life. That is our way." Daniel worked tirelessly, coordinating with Arlen engineers. They upgraded ships, reinforced the moon base, and improved defenses. They created small squads of humans in Arlen to respond quickly to threats. Everyone knew the Union could strike at any moment, and preparation became their constant focus. Nora and her medical team built emergency stations in case of battle. She trained both humans and Arlen to treat wounds quickly. "If fighting comes, we save lives." She told them, not for glory, not for revenge, but because life is worth saving. During one training exercise, a young Arlen pilot named Cyril showed remarkable skill in maneuvering a human fighter. Daniel watched in amazement. "You move faster than any human I have seen," he said. Cyril smiled. "We have trained in tight spaces for generations. But humans, you think quickly. Together, we can be unstoppable." The tension grew. Messages from the Union became more frequent, warnings filled with threats. Daniel and Lyra decided to send a small fleet to Mars orbit for training and testing. Humans and Arlen would fly together, practice tactics, and be ready for anything. Nora and Lyra stayed behind at the moon base to oversee the refugees. Many were curious about the drills, watching closely and learning. Children asked questions about ships and weapons, and humans patiently explained the basics. Even the youngest Arlen seemed to understand teamwork and discipline in their play. One night, Daniel and Lyra observed the stars. The fleet glimmered in the distance as they practiced maneuvers. "Do you think we can win?" Lyra asked quietly. Daniel looked at her. "It is not about winning. It is about protecting. We fight so that life can continue. That is what matters. Humans do not fight for conquest. We fight for survival. And for others. That is why the galaxy underestimates us, and that is why we are strong." The following days were filled with drills, medical training, and teaching. Arlen engineers worked with humans to improve ship systems. They found ways to combine human technology. With Arlen efficiency, shields were stronger, reactors more stable, and weapons more precise. Despite the work, not all was peaceful. Some Arlen still whispered about revenge, about striking the Union before they could strike first. Lyra worked tirelessly to keep them focused. "We are not soldiers of hate," she reminded them. "We are survivors. We protect life, and we will survive together." The scouts reported increased movement from the Union fleet. Daniel decided it was time to show strength. He ordered a combined patrol of human and Arlen ships to fly near the fleet's edge. They would not attack, but their presence would make a statement. The patrol was tense. Humans and Arlen communicated through simple signals, working together without mistakes. When the Union saw the coordinated flight, they paused. The message was clear: Earth protects its refugees, and those who threaten them will face consequences. Back at the moon base, refugees watched the patrol from observation windows. Children pressed their faces against the glass, amazed at the display of unity. Lyra stood among them, proud of what her people had achieved. She realized that humans were teaching her people something more important than weapons or tactics. They were teaching trust, patience, and cooperation. At night, Daniel and Lyra walked again, looking at Earth. "We are ready," Daniel said. "If they come, we will fight to protect what is right. We will show the galaxy that kindness does not mean weakness." Lyra nodded. "The galaxy may have cast us out, but Earth gave us life, and we will protect it, no matter what comes." And so, humans and Arlen prepared together. They trained, they learned, and they built bonds of trust. The Arlen began to see that survival was not just about fighting, it was about understanding, cooperation, and hope. In the quiet of space, under the watchful eyes of distant stars, Earth became a place of strength, of unity, and of courage. The galaxy could cast out who it wished, but here, life was protected. Here, hope was real. And for the first time since exile, the Arlen began to feel not only safe but powerful. In the best way possible, united with those who chose compassion over fear.